I'm going to show you how to grade Lincoln Wheat Cents. It's very important to know the grade of your pennies because of the fact that value is determined by the grade. Now there are semi-key dates and there are key dates that have value already, but their grade is also part of that value. Same with varieties, same with mint errors. So grade and rarity demand for those rarities goes hand in hand with the value. So we need to know both. Most Lincoln Wheat Cents doesn't really matter what grade they are, but it's important to use the common dates so that you can put together a grade set to help you grade the better dates or the better varieties if you find them. So let's get started. Okay, first I'm going to start off with saying that you grade coins based off of the alphanumeric Sheldon scale. Well, the Sheldon scale is 1 through 70. Then we added the alpha, which is like poor 1 up to mint state. So you've got poor, fair, AG, good, very good, fine, very fine, extra fine, AU, and then mint state, uncirculated, that kind of thing. It's important to know those acronyms and what they mean and what the coins look like with those corresponding alphanumeric terms. This one is in the fair 2 range. Pretty close to PO1. It's got some damage. It has some rim issues. It's not going to be worth much. This is what you're going to find in rolls, maybe if considered a call by some people. Now, if it was a 1909 SVDB or a 1914D and you could identify it and authenticate it, even with the damage and partial date, then it's worth something. It's worth knowing. It might be worth something to someone for a lowball registry set. But you can see this one here. It's pretty bad. It's worn, but that's where they start. So they'll start as something like this, and then being in circulation over time, enough times, 20-some years, sometimes even less, sometimes more, they'll look like this coin. So you have wear patterns. It's also important to note when you're grading Lincoln Wheat Cents to know that there's brown, and red. And those are just designations of the patina that it's attained over the years. Where this would be brown, this one is red, and something like this one would be red-brown. It's going to be a combination of both. Toning will do that too. This is mint state 66 red, but it's not red. So you couldn't sell this as red because it wasn't stored properly and it toned. Now, is it pleasing? Someone might like this. They might like that toning. So moving forward, we're going to look at some more grades. Here's another coin that was probably PO1. This is going to be fair 2. F2, FO2 is what you see. Has a little more detail on it. Has some scratches. That's the thing when it comes to Lincoln Wheat Cents. Sometimes the obverse is damaged or some issues with it. A 1922 is a perfect example. You can use the reverse to grade based off the wheat stocks and the details there if the obverse is in bad shape. So you have to grade obverse and reverse until it comes to the 1922s. You use the reverse, because they're all Denver mints. You have to use the reverse of those to actually grade the whole coin. And I'll show you what I mean here in a second. But sometimes the damage is there. Sometimes coins go through gumball machines and it damages the coins and it smashes some of the features. And that's one of the problems with AI. It picks up on that and thinks that it's actual wear and it'll grade the coin inaccurately. So that's where it has to be trained so that if we would ever use AI to grade coins, it has to know the difference between circulation issues that happen in mechanical means that actually hamper the ability to grade something because of the details that you need for the grades are just messed up. So that's what this would fall under. I mean, this is, literally fair. I mean, far as condition-wise, as far as the wear pattern is concerned, I should say. But the damage can fool and make it look worse. And maybe it should be penalized because of that. What I want to show you about the 22 is this. The 1922 was only minted at the Denver Mint. That's it. And they had to make so many of them, and the dies started wearing out. They started having issues, so they tried to save the dies. So this coin here looks like it might be in the fine range if you wanted to go by the ANA grading standard. However, if you turn it over, sometimes they'll have wheat stock definition, showing that the coin is a higher grade. This one has a weak reverse, so the reverse was messed with as well. But a lot of the reverses are not. Die pair 2 is one example of that. That's your rare one. This one here is not a no D. You can see a little bit of a bump underneath the 22, so this would be a weak D. It's still valuable. It's worth money. Also, a lot of people ask about the L on the rim. That is just a little off center, or the rim was flattened, and it caused the L to kind of mix with the rim a little bit. Sometimes you'll have a little misaligned or a little off center, but it's just right within mint specifications. It is not an error, but you have a lot of issues along the rims with these because the rims help protect the coin's design from wearing too quick. That's what that's for, so it'll happen that way. That's typical. That's well known. Give you a couple more examples of coins that this one has been cleaned. It's in the very good grade, and you can look at the reverse, but the reverse almost has a little bit more details, but it's been cleaned and messed with, so that's going to mess with the grade. Honestly, they need to be probably penalized with mention that it potentially has, very good details, but probably going to end up being G6 or something net. I think coins need to be penalized a little bit when they're rubbed on. This one here is another example of this. I mean, what grade would you grade it? I mean, it looks very fine, but with the flatness from where it went through some mechanical device, whether it be a penny gum machine or what it is, it affected it. But look at the wheat stocks. It's right in that very fine range. But you could argue back and forth, fine, very fine. Which is it? Which is it? Now, obviously, the 16s are different than the 1920s a little bit. The 30s are a little bit different than the 40s and 50s. They all have a little bit different design changes, so you have to account for that as well. The cheeks tend to be a little bit larger on the 40s and 50s. Then you have cents like this. What do you grade it? It's got the wood grain. Okay, it looks more like a problem coin. Not worth much at all. Just your, whatever the copper value is really, or just worth 1 cent. And you turn it over, the same thing. So I threw this in because this is probably going to be a good coin. It might have had very good wheat stocks, but you can't really grade it that way. So you just have to go with what you see. It's not worth much more than the lowest grade, so it doesn't really matter on that one. Then we get to good, and it's pushing a little bit, pushing good 6. But most people want G4, especially if it's keyed 8s. They want G4, they want very good 8, they want the more common, attainable grades, the ones that are more familiar with. They don't typically, G6 is okay, it's worth more, but they'd rather have a G4. Same with very good 10 versus very good 8. And here's another one in that same range, getting close to very good. A lot of times when you got issues, see, these coins have issues. Most of them do. That's what the problem is with grading low-grade coins, and also coins that are common, that are circulated. So you got to maybe focus on the ear hole to see how much, and the earlobe to see how much earlobe's there, because maybe that area didn't get affected as much as the rest because you've got a lot of damage that's affected the rest of the coin. Focus on the areas that don't have the damage. Sometimes you have to do that. I'm comfortable with calling this good. This one here is getting close to very good in that range. But you have to realize that we're only using G4 and G6, so we're ignoring 7. There are coins out there that are G7, but you have to choose which direction you're going with it based off of the details, based off of the issues it has, because this one has a little scratch. That's the only way you can really grade them appropriately. That's why people say it's an opinion. It's not a science. Well, I think eventually, if you keep training a model, an AI model, it can discern the differences, and it won't use emotions, and it won't suffer from eye fatigue. And then it's always going to be verified by a human. It's not a problem. Here's the earlobe. Look at the earlobe. Definitely in the very good range and close to very good 10, even though it has a little flattening and smashing of the cheek area and the hair. That's always going to be an issue with grading. So we'll focus on the earlobe here, and then turn it over and look at the wheat stocks. Are the wheat stocks consistent with, very good? That's very important as well. But you put the most weight on the obverse. That's where most of the grade is on a coin. This one is definitely a solid fine. It's getting close to very fine. Real nice detail, but you do have a flattening of the hair. You have some definition of the earlobe as well, and the wheat stalks. I mean, we're getting really close here to very fine. It's right on the edge there. And that's the thing. You have very fine 20 all the way to very fine 35. That's the grades we use. So we'll use very fine 20, 25, 30, and 35, and that's it. So if something would be very fine 21, 22, 23, we don't label it that. You have to choose which direction you're going to go, whether it's very fine 20 or very fine 25. Same when you get up to very fine 35. Very fine 37, 38, 39, they're really close to extra fine. So there's going to be issues with these coins. It's going to be hard to discern those point grades. That's why you do the best you can and look as many coins as you can. Put your coins together, compare them together. This one here looks more fine than the last example. Has a little more wear. So when I put them together here, I need to make sure that I pay real close attention to this. This is probably closer to very fine 20. This is the fine. So I'll try to go in order the best I can. And you look at the reverse, you can see what I'm talking about. A little more detail here on this one. So we'll go with very fine 20, 25 on this one here, and we'll go with fine. I have another, this is a 31, so the design's a tad different, and that's important to note. Looking at the wheat stalks, we're looking in the close to very fine range. I give it very fine. A lot of debris on the coin and a flatness of the cheek and the hair. So, like I said, they've been through machines. They've been handled. You'll see that a lot. Makes it hard to grade them. But we're using common dates where you can buy hundreds and hundreds of these and you can put them together and get you a really good grade set so you can use the grade. This one looks like it's in fine. A little out of order here. But then you look at the wheat stalks and it's in the very fine range. But you're going to have to probably bump this to fine 15. It's just been flattened a lot. And then we have getting close to the higher very fines. If we turn it over to the wheat stalks, have a lot of definition, definitely. And I know there's other details the ANA and PCGS grading standards come up with. They try to explain it, but they're black and white. These coins are all unique. Every one of them look differently, even though they might be the same grade. It's like human beings. We all look different and unique, but we all know we're humans. We all know we're either a certain race. Now, sometimes those lines are blurred, obviously, but what I'm getting at is that that's the way these coins are. They're going to be the same grade or similar grade, but they're going to look a little bit different or unique. They've been through unique experiences. No two of any of these coins have been through the same experiences, the same wear, the same conditions, the same damage. Here's another one. We're obviously in the very fine range here on this. And you can see that from the wheat stalks, very fine. Then, here's another one. And it has some toning issues. It might have been cleaned at one time. It's got a lot of people ask if those are experimental planchets. Well, you need to weigh your coin to find that out. It's a 42D. So we're looking at very fine on this one. Then we're at extra fine. A lot more hair detail, ear detail. The high points is a little more defined. Wheat stalks are pretty defined. It'll be a good example of extra fine right there. And of course, you've got these. Some people might call that AU. This one's mint state red. It's got all those splotches on it. You'll see carbon spots on these coins. But here's the differences. Denver mint and the San Francisco mint. Sometimes the Denver mint is a little more shiny, a little more proof-like. So you have a little bit different of a dye finish. That can have an effect on the appearance of the coin. I don't see wear on either one of these. So, it looks pretty good. Both of them I would be comfortable with calling both of them unk. Just different dye finishes. This one here, I'd call AU. It has just a slight bit of rub, probably AU 58, but it's barely there. But sometimes you'll see it on the high points of the wheat stalks. Can't really, just a little bit. Sometimes you'll see the O will be partially missing or even some of the lettering. That's normal, struck through grease, because this shoulder here, which is the corresponding side of the O, is a higher relief, and sometimes the dies weren't adjusted enough to strike both sides completely. That happens. You see the O's a little weak at the top there. Sometimes your AUs will be brown. These here tend to be red-brown. It's got just a slight bit of rub. These are barely on the edge there. But you do have AU50 to AU58. And they will have mint luster. Sometimes your extra fines will, but it's very rare to see that because they're typically turning brown. You just don't see luster. So you got to go by the details on those. AU brown. You can see a little bit of wear on the cheek and above the forehead there, a little bit on the shoulder. But it's a nice coin. It's a high-grade coin. The reverse has a minimal wear. Just barely some little rub on the top of the high points of the weak stalks and things. That's what they'll look like whenever you find them in the mid to AU, low to AU range. This one here is probably a little lower grade in AU, probably AU 53, something like that. The other one was AU 55. But like I said, you've got AU 50 all the way to 59, and we only use AU 50, 53, 55, and 58. So you have to determine which side you're going to put it on. How close is it to 58 versus 55? And that's how they do that. Here's the reverse. It's got a little something on it too. It's a thing that'll affect it. You don't know what that is. See if acetone will remove it. You can use acetone on cents. I don't recommend anything else. Some people do use Verticare. It's okay too, but I don't really see a benefit of that. But you don't want to rub them. You don't want to use any kind of dip. It will strip the natural, or at least the patina that it obtained through circulation. The other issue I see with Lincoln Cents, and the wheats especially, is the 1943. This one, when you see shiny grayness like this or darker patina, this would be replated. It had rusted, and they actually replated it, repurposed it to sell it. You see that a lot, and that's what it'll look like. If it's not replated, it will look like this. It's got a little bit of circulation. This one here is probably in the AU to extra fine range, and fairly problem-free. Now, here's another one, looking into very fine. Problem-free. Normal. Then you get into these, which is a little lesser, probably more into it's probably low very fine, but it's got rust spots. That's not copper. These will stick to a magnet. There's no partial copper 1943s. There are copper 1943s. They're very rare. These are the very common ones. I made millions of these. Here's some more with rust. Hard to degrade that one. I mean, you're going to have to put it in the fine range probably. It's hard to see the details. But the wheat stocks are saying a little bit differently. So it's probably a very fine coin that got a lot of damage on it. It's going to be hard to grade that one. People are going to think that's a bent error. It's not. They're going to think the rust is copper. It's not. This is just a cent that's damaged. It's a call. Worth a couple cents maybe. Here's one that's plated. It's not partially steel or anything like that. Someone plated it at one time and it wore off. Put that in there along with these 43s. Here's another 43. It's worn down. Close to the very fine range. Fine. Steel cents are a little different. They're harder on the dies. They have a little different circulation issues. And they're actually zinc plated. Here is a Mint State 66 that has oxidation all over it. Unfortunately, it probably didn't when it was submitted. Now it does. And then you see one that is pristine. I mean, this one here is beautiful. This one graded 66. This is a very beautiful, original, natural look. This is what they're supposed to look like in the Mint State grades. Right here. No issues whatsoever on that coin. Beautiful. But unfortunately, this one here got some oxidation on it while it was in the holder. That's why it's important to store coins properly. I definitely use, yeah, it's unfortunate it's got the splotches on it. Then the real reason a lot of people want to know how to grade coins is because they want the money grades. They want those 67, 68, 69s, and even trying to get for a 70. And this coin here, if you look at it at different angles, and that's what you do when you are grading mint state coins, and you want to try for registry grades. You're just that kind of guy, that kind of person, that kind of lady, and you enjoy doing that. Well, you're going to have to hold that coin at all these different angles. You want to use 5 to 10x, probably 10x, and you want to look at every angle on this coin and count the marks, because the least amount of marks is typically the higher the grade, but you can't use photo grade images. They're not going to work for you because your coin's going to look just as good as that coin or better, and it's not. This is a 66 red. A lot of people see this coin and it'll stick out. It's a beautiful coin. The marks are mostly on the obverse. You do have a little carbon spot there, unfortunately. But this is what happens with the 66 red 39D if you don't store it properly. Just be very careful with storing your coins. But this coin here is not going to attain the value for that grade. If you're trying for 67s, I wish you luck. It's not easy to do. Here's another one. Wasn't stored properly, so it can't be called red anymore. Mint State 66 red 34D. It looks a little more yellow or orange. The holder's kind of messed up. It's hard to see it. You know, unfortunately, these were not stored properly or handled properly, and it's really sad. Now, this one here looks actually red, but it's toned as well. So it's red-brown, but see, toning like this might be pleasing to some people. But these were attempts at someone sending a bulk submission and trying to get those registry quality grades. It's very difficult. I really can't show you any more than counting the marks. And don't ignore, I'll just say this, the small chatter. And I was showing you that on this one here. A lot of chatter in this area. You'll see that on these. And then you've got a large mark right here in the fields that's distracting. The less amount of marks, the better. But it's hard to find those. And even when you do, wheat cents will get graded a little more lenient than the memorials, because the memorials are found with least amount of marks. And then when you get up into the better quality control in the mint later on, man, you can almost have a coin without marks at all on it, and they'll put 66 or 67 on it. A lot of market grading, I suppose. I've tried it. I went through rolls and rolls and rolls and thought I had almost 68s. I mean, they just looked so good, and then somehow I missed something in the hair, a mark in the hair. The edge of these coins will hit each other because they're meant for circulation. Nobody at the mint cared about these being nice-looking coins. It was just for circulation. But those edges hit, and you don't see it. And then sometimes the planchets were damaged before they were struck. Sometimes you'll see those marks as well. So you want to look in this lower shoulder area for all the marks, up in the hair where it can be hidden, and then in the fields where it's distracting. That's how you're going to grade these mint state grades. Good luck with trying to get the higher grades, but it is what it is. You just got to do the best you can. Having examples like this 66, trying to find examples with less marks, is about the only way to do it. And having 3 or 4 or 5 of these, you might pay $50 or $30 for a 5 or 6 of these a piece, but it's worth it down the long run. If you've got rolls and you think that they've been put back and not been touched, might be worth your chances. So thanks for watching my latest video. I hope you learned something. Try to be as in-depth and detailed as I could. You know, grading coins is not an easy thing. It takes a lot of years. It takes a lot of experience and a lot of coins to look through and handle. And just realize that coins could be damaged, wiped, rubbed, scraped, scratched, contact marks, and all kinds of things that can affect the grade or how you grade them. And that's just part of the issues you have with seeing details on coins and things like that. So thanks for watching, and have a great day.